Hey, Melody. So the first thing I would say is, do you feel like you're happy overall?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you're growing as a person in a relationship? Do you feel like your needs are getting met in the relationship? It's hard because I just want to say something real quick. If I look at you, then I can tell on the camera, it looks like I'm looking somewhere else, which is strange. But I don't want to look at myself. I want to look at you. So, all right, I'll try to go back and forth, but I'd rather look at you. I'm talking to you. So, you want to know your needs getting met? Are you happy overall? Do you feel like you're growing? So, those are just simple questions that I would ask myself. Add something to what Pal said. It doesn't. That could be binary thinking too. And what I'm hearing from that is that you're saying that wasn't a good frequency. The group wasn't meshing with him. So we could look at it another way too. He didn't feel comfortable there. So we don't know why. We don't know why he didn't feel comfortable there. So we automatically think, okay, he's the misfit. He's the one who didn't fit in, and he wanted to leave because he didn't feel comfortable. We could also say in that at least he had enough care about himself to say, you know, I don't feel comfortable here. I don't want to stay here. Because I hate when you put the full thing on me. It's like all right. I'm thinking, he's thinking to himself, I don't feel comfortable here. Well, why doesn't he feel comfortable here? So certain people, and I think from my perspective, I feel it as like, I don't fit into many groups at all. So, my ex could be having that conversation with many people because I want to leave, or I have a problem somewhere or something comes up because I'm a very vocal person. So that I don't mesh in with that frequency, so then we can say, are they good or am I good or, whatever. In the end of the day, I don't know. It depends. That's there isn't black and white in anything. And it's just not a good match frequency wise.
Yes, it's not a good match.
But it can be. Yeah. It could be that someone's just a jerk. There are jerks out there. There's complete jerks out there. And you could be with someone who's very abusive or controlling, and they don't want you there for what's their intention behind it. The thing is, we don't know his intention. So if we don't know his intention, then we can't really, then we're guessing for him.
A normal thing.
Yes. I would say it's a normal thing. It's just something that people do in the society.
In our society?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of, it is, today, people are married definitely more than once. And then not just that, there are people who bounce from relationship to relationship to relationship. Yeah, that happens. Absolutely. And it increases, every time you're married, it increases the chance of you becoming a divorce. So each time increases.
Yeah.
And not that I recommend you staying with someone forever either. I'm just saying that's just statistically what happens.
Yeah.
Would you like me to give you a little feedback on that?
Yes.
Okay. So when you saw her behavior change, there was something in you she did not think would vibe with her. But she didn't know how to tell you, and she was probably still, I'm being completely honest, and probably still thinking she wasn't sure yet, or maybe she didn't feel comfortable breaking up with you. Because if you are a priority to her, she would have continued to make you a priority. Okay, but that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. You just didn't have the same vibration. And you don't want somebody with you who questions you. So this was a good thing. She just wasn't good at, maybe being honest about her feelings, but there was it's not black or white either, but she's not a good breaker-upper in that way. Yeah. And I think you don't have to share anything of what she said to you personally. I definitely think that's related. Probably not. She doesn't seem like the most truthful person. Yeah. So she gave you a little bit of it. Yeah. Okay. But it means people think a breakup means something's bad about you. There's nothing bad about you. You just weren't a good fit, which you're grateful Well, I would bring it back to the question you asked, the last question, in that you play a role in how behavior, you played a role in the ending, put it that way. Because there's always signs and there's always communication patterns. So now that you're more aware, if you're doing your conscious work and you're doing your shadow work, you're more aware because you're more aware of yourself. If you're more aware of yourself, you can have more in-depth conversations with someone else. So if you want to match somebody who's at your vibration, So if this person wasn't a good communicator, you should have known that already before the ending. You know, the ending, you were unconscious of what was going on or things that weren't vibing with you. Because you said you're an honest person, you communicate, you weren't getting it back. So either that's a message of that I saw it and I ignored it, or I'm just happy to have her and I'll put up with it, or I'm just not going to deal with it. You know, I'm not going to, but either way, the conclusion was the same.
Yeah.
You know, but you want to be, you know, if someone's not going to, if they're going to play games right in the beginning and not be truthful or want to show themselves, because it could also be an issue of showing yourself. She might not feel comfortable showing herself. It's, you know, like she's guarded. People have walls. I don't want to deal with somebody who has all these walls, you know? So there's so many things that you're checking out, doing your due diligence as you're, you know, getting to know somebody. And there's stages of that too. It depends on the person. It depends on the person. There isn't a cookie cutter way to go about it. It's what's right for you if you know yourself. For me, I don't need to talk to people when I have a problem. Like, you know, I might vent here or there, but I don't really. If I want to share it, I'll share it. But it's not that I'm a pretty exhibitionist person. So I would share it, but sometimes I don't feel the need to share it. I don't have to share it because I don't need advice from people, because I do my work. So I know, you know, what I know myself enough to know what's a good decision for me, or you know, am I feeling the right vibe, and what do you do about that? I already, you know, can process that myself. You know, other people know, other people need advice, but then you get other people stuck into things and it gets tricky. Because they think this person's now a bad person. It's all this, you know, other people's stuff that gets thrown into things when you sharing your feelings with somebody. Now that other person takes that and now they see things in a very binary way. Bad guy, good guy. It's a big mess because people don't understand that. You know, there's many parts of a person. You know, I think Pall understands that with me and my ex, because he sees both of our strengths and weaknesses. And he can, even though he knows how pissed I get, because I share, you know, I do share things with Pall, but I know Pal's not looking to, you know, he gets no satisfaction. I know he feels hurt on both sides when he hears it. So I know his intentions are pure when I share things with him. And he's not looking at it that way. He's looking at both of us to be happy, because that's the person he is. There's not a binary way, you know? I would discuss it with my partner first. Why am I including outside people when this primary relationship is between the two of us? No. That's where you go. That's where you go first. You're not talking, why are you bringing other people into your relationship? This is your relationship. And people might say, oh, me. I'm like, no, I'm an exhibitionist. And I was showing my real life what was going on as somebody who is a very independent person struggling in our community. And also showing the people who are my community online what is going on in my world. I want to say something else to consider is that to me seems like a triangulation, okay? Because, I mean, I guess and I'm only speaking from my perspective, I don't want to, if I'm out with Pall, I'm not spending my day talking about, you know, what's going on. I want to learn about Pall. I want to see what are other things, even besides relationships, what he's interested in. I want to go look at art. I want to have a philosophical conversation. I want to, you know, sit around a campfire, smoke some weed, and listen to music. You know, that's not how you know, like for me, I do a lot of my inner work. I spend a lot of time alone. So when I'm not alone, I want to learn about Pall, and I want to like do different things. So that's just my perspective. And again, I just don't understand why you wouldn't speak to the person you're having an issue with, or even your gay. Like, you know, I'm sorry. That's just, again, me.
Okay.
And it's whatever's going through with the other person you're speaking to. You have to realize, too, they have their own hang-ups about their own stuff that they haven't healed. So they put that on top of what you're telling them. So they hear what they want to hear, and they paint their own story in their head about your life. Right. Not consciously. No. It's their own hang-ups, their own triggers, our own trauma we didn't deal with. So this is really complicated, too. But Trump is irritating. I think for most people, Trump, in people's mind, they don't realize it, but in their mind, I believe, for some reason, he represents someone unhealed to them, and it all got put onto Trump. Right. So I don't think it's like practical. Whether you think he's a good guy or bad guy, it's not a matter of that, because you can see what you were unhappy and what he did in office. But there's such an emotional piece to it that I think that they project onto him all these people that they made up in their mind, like in their mind about him. They projected it onto him. You know, unhealed
Totally.
stuff.
Unhealed stuff. But she would never
Unhealed
admit
stuff.
that it was unhealed stuff.
Most people are not aware. Most people do not have the depth to be able to understand that, and that's why, you know, I wouldn't go to people for advice.
Okay.
Yeah.
You discuss it. Okay.
So, yes, it's not working out, or you're not able to communicate. So I say, life is too short, and if someone's not going to make a priority to you, or you don't feel you're happy or committed, if you try, you have to try in good faith, you know, to split out the side door. You know, in a relationship, you should be putting the same effort in as when you're unraveling it with consciousness. So you're aware of it, what you're doing, and if you know you've given it your all, or you've tried to communicate, you know, there's many reasons. There's not always a good and bad guy. It's just the vibration's not happening. You're not growing. You're not happy. Then make plans to say, like, you know, it starts like, you know, you're shutting down, or, you know, and that gets complicated because you can't give one answer to everybody. And that goes back to your first question of the show. I took some notes. You know, you were saying, like, you know, when should someone leave, or what are the decisions involved with that when you want to leave? Well, that's complicated. That's not a cookie cutter answer. I would say it comes down to, I believe it's 3 things. Number one, your belief in yourself. Number one, before you leave, you need to have a strong belief in yourself, because you know if you're not, you could, you know, it gets. If you have a belief in yourself, you can leave and feel like you're okay. You know, you're not going through this abandonment things. You process stuff. You're not just not dealing with those emotions and leaving, because those emotions still follow you into the next relationship. So heal it in that relationship, even if that means that you're separating it. Do it the right way, and then you're not carrying that baggage, that energy into the next relationship, because it's not fair to the next relationship. And, you know, if I was dating someone that had all this baggage, I'm like, that's not fair for you to bring in to your relationship with me. You know, I'm working hard on, you know, leaving my stuff, and that's already set up for failure. All right. So the first one is your belief in yourself. Your second one is your motivation. How motivated are you to leave? Okay. There's different motivation, you know, and what could be toxic to one person in their relationship isn't toxic to another. I believe there's levels, because there's your own levels of consciousness. Somebody who's really conscious has certain levels of what they think is toxic or not toxic, compared to somebody who's walking around completely unaware of what's going on. They could have, okay, he doesn't pay the bills, and he cheats on me. That might be enough. Mm-hmm. You know, for a conscious person, that's nowhere near enough. You know, because we're very fulfilled people. We want the same thing in a relationship. It's not going to work. You know, you can't just come and throw money at somebody who's conscious. It's not going to work. You know, what kind of conversations do you have? What are your ethics? You know, like, you know, what are your interests? Is that going to work? What kind of person are you? You know, what do you do? What do you like to do? Because that might not work with me. Even though we might think we're great people, we could be friends. You know, because a conscious person doesn't think in scarcity. They think that I'm a good catch, and I'm, you know, there's plenty of fish out there. Why am I concerned about this person? We could be great friends. And if they hooked up with them, God bless them, you know, because you're not jealous of people. You know, there's more. The world is full of abundance. Why would you get jealous? Who cares? You know, that's what unhealed people bring into the relationship. All that baggage. No, you know, I don't want to play games like that, or these little games that I don't play games, you know. What was I saying though? Oh yeah. Sorry, I got off track. All right, the third one is luck. Actually, I could add one more to that. The third one is luck, okay? Some people have a lot of money. God bless them, they have a lot of money. I'm not jealous of it. You know, the universe just gave me other opportunities to learn and grow. So, you know, not jealous. Worked on my stuff. So, you know, they give you opportunities. What are your strengths? You know, what are your strengths? What are things that you can use to your advantage, you know, if you want to leave? Where are you going when you're leaving? You're planning that out, or are you just going to get in a fight and, you know, walk somewhere and not have a plan? You're running towards somebody. Is that a good idea? You want to go into a relationship desperate because you need a house. Is that a good idea? So a conscious person is thinking of all those things. You know, they're not just doing things. They could be impulsive, but strategic in what they're doing. You know, could be impulsive in certain areas, not in others. You're thinking. You're not just making decisions. So yes, there's many types of luck. You know, and your intuition is also paying attention for what are good opportunities and what are not good opportunities. So the universe is always giving you signs. If you're looking to leave, the universe could give you signs that you think, wow, that fits with me. You don't think it out. Is that a good decision? How would you feel there? How are you going to be able to take care of yourself? If you have money, that is. However, even with everything is good and bad, because you could have a ton of money, but if you didn't do your inner work, you're going to make some poor decisions with that money. Yeah. So in certain ways, money can be good. In certain ways, money can make you do some impulsive things you might regret later. So that's why the inner work comes in handy. So yes, I thought I had a fourth, but now that's it. That's good, I say for now.
Okay. And in a work,
you know, where we were sort of building something up together.
I also feel like, you know, if he's out with people, like let's say, like, you know, depending if there's a sexual attraction there, and you're bringing alcohol and you're spending all these time with these people. Number one, I'm just speaking of, you know, this is how you think of things. People don't think today. You know, that's why it's okay to acknowledge that you're an impulsive person. Okay, it's okay to acknowledge you're an impulsive person. But if you're in a committed relationship, do you really think it's a good idea for you to be going out drinking with people of the opposite sex and hanging out? Okay, that's a recipe for disaster, even if you're ethical doing it. Because alcohol makes you, you know, not think clearly. Okay, and now you're dancing, that's disrespect to the relationship. That's what I feel, number one. So I just thought of that because I thought at first, like, that's a good idea, that sounds fun. But no, not what you're doing. It really isn't. You know, when you say, I don't think people are real with themselves. When you say that, like, this woman can be friends with all these men. Oh, the men I have that are my friends or that are close friends of mine are only gay men. I don't have male friends that way. I don't talk privately to males because it always ends up in a problem because you're sharing intimacy. It's a bad situation.
It is,
you know? So that's a boundary. So before you avoid entanglements that way, just have firm boundaries. That's why I always talk to all of you. I talk to you in a group chat. Why do I talk? Because that's the proper way to be. Because I wouldn't say anything to you privately, and I don't want anybody saying things to me privately that they wouldn't say to the group. Because that's intimacy, and I'm not in a position where I want to be intimate with someone emotionally right now.
Yes.
So that's how I protect it's not personal to anybody. I just apply the rule to everybody. You know, people think I'm crazy, but that's a healthy boundary. You know, but people don't think of that ahead of, and you could apply that to everything. And I don't want to be with somebody who's not conscious that way. Who I have to explain these common things to somebody. I don't want to do that. I want somebody who's done enough work and shows respect for themselves, respect for the relationship, respect to have some integrity. And the things I do, I consciously think about. And, you know, to people that might be outside their comfort zone or judge it. But to me, I feel fine with it or I wouldn't do it, you know? And I'm not going to give my attention to something that I'm not ready for, that I'm still doing my work because I know my work. So I'm not in a position to be having those intimate conversations or I'm already putting a boundary. And I put that through experience. I learned through lessons, which lessons are not always a bad thing if you learn from it, you know? Well, your thing for the next relationship, I'm sorry, can I just get this one thought? Your thing for the next relationship is that you don't leave relationships even if, you know, that you're not being appreciated. And it might be an abandonment thing. I don't know what it is, or still in need, or why don't they like me? What do I need to fix about myself, or anything like that? I don't know for sure because I can't answer it for you. I can't make assumptions on what you're feeling, and it doesn't matter that you even share it. It just matters that maybe you think about it. But like, why is that a pattern? Now, patterns we want to pay attention to because the pattern is about us. So you're now in your next relationship, you're having lessons. In the next relationship, you're going to be like, well, I'm going to catch this sooner. I'm going to walk in with a stronger sense of self. That why would they leave you? You know, I walk into a relationship and you're like, you know, why would you leave me? I'm a great catch. Why would you leave me? I'm interesting. I'm this or that. I can list 15 things why I'm a great catch. Not arrogant, you know? And so if they didn't, I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong with you? You know, like there isn't like a feeling like what's wrong with me, you know, except I don't like that camera on like that. It's too much for me. I gotta get better lighting. He's gonna do it anyway to me. He's gonna do it anyway. So anyway, so I'm thinking, no, because I like to look at you because I'm talking and we're having, I like to have it like we're having a conversation or else, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I don't walk into it thinking, I to me, because I have a strong sense of self. So that's what you're bringing into the next relationship. You know, you've learned enough patterns because it's all at the right time now. You're waking up, you're doing deep work, and now you've had a pattern's a great thing because now you know what you have to work on. It's giving you a sign, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you find out someone cheated on you, well, thank God I know that. I mean, I feel gross for juices, and you know, I'm not a big exchanger of energy, because I think the juices are energy, and I'm not really big on that, you know. So that would be really upsetting. That would be more upsetting to me is like juices, like, well, that's a violation because I don't know who this person's dealing with, who that person's dealing with. So that's my biggest violation. And then the other thing would be, and then also putting themselves in bad situations that led them into that because you broke the contract. You know, so that's a real bad karmic thing to break a contract. All right, do it. So if you break the contract, you know, I don't want to be with someone who would break the contract or put themselves in a situation where they break the contract. You know, do it the right way if you're going to end the relationship. Trying to think what else. So yeah, lessons. I don't know. Well, I lost my thought.
Okay. Paul.
Also, what I just let's say, don't you want to find somebody when you're at your best? You want to meet the person who you really want to have a long-term commitment with at your best.
Right.
So, like, you know, to me, that's how I'm feeling. Is that I keep working. I would like to meet someone at my best. Yes, you know, not the person I would meet now, and I don't want to waste my time. You know, I don't want to waste my time and you know, I'm not like that. You know, I'm happy with myself that way. You know, again, you know.
to me,
there's no price on that. There's no price. You do that inner work. There's no price. There's no price. There's a peace that comes with that.
Yeah. Any comment, both of you?
I would say, if I can, that when you enter, you had a lot of like what. I don't know how to word it. What I would say, all right, let me just give you the answer, or not the answer of what my thoughts were. There are no guarantees in a relationship, so you can't walk in. That's another baggage piece that you bring into a relationship, is that there are no guarantees in anything. So there are no guarantees in a relationship at all, you know? So walking into that, I think, is helpful to understand that you can't guarantee anything. You make a good prediction by what you see around you, and then you're going to have to give it up to trust at some point. You know, you have to give it up to luck at some point that they are being the honorable person with you. You know, getting to know them and being responsible. Then you're giving it, that luck part is trust. Sometimes the luck is good, sometimes the luck is bad. However, you've done your inner work to know that you will be okay, and that you don't want somebody close to you who would betray you, who would take from you, who wouldn't value you. You know, then you're okay. Them leaving, when you've done your inner work, them leaving, yes, you're going to acknowledge that it hurts. But then you're going to, quickly that's okay. But then you got to get back, well, who am I? And you have to feel it. You can't fake it. Who am I? And you can't, again, other people will see that, and it makes you more attractive. And it's all together. It's in alignment because you're not faking it. You feel it, and other people can see it.
Right. Yeah.
And that is trusting yourself. So that was the second thing I said. Trust yourself. So there's got to be a point. You're testing yourself out in smaller things. You're testing yourself out in all different areas. That can you protect yourself? Because I don't want to be with somebody who can't protect themselves emotionally, with other people, with boundaries. Like that's not, I want someone to be confident in themselves, because I am. I don't want less. I don't want, there could be things that someone else that I'm with could be better at, which is fine, but they have to have wisdom. They have to have wisdom. I don't care how much money compared to wisdom is way more valuable than money.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many things, and that's different for different people. But there are some standards that I have, and that's okay. You know, people think that's cocky, but once it's different than the material girl who says they have standards of this, this, and this. You know, there are. When I said there's levels of people, if people are materialistic and shallow, those are the standards. They need the same. If you try and match a materialistic person with somebody who's conscious, it doesn't matter to the money. That's going to be a problem. And it's nothing to get, money's irrelevant because you could be conscious and have money, or you could be conscious and not have money, you know? But usually if you're conscious, you usually start becoming, because the universe is providing for you. You know, so that's why I don't fear many things. Because if you're conscious, you know, and it's in alignment, you know, because it's not just, it's about I have a mission while I'm here, and that's to serve humanity, gain wisdom. So yes, I think money will come. I believe in myself. I am, you know? Okay, I'm sorry. Went off on a tangent. Feeling involved with,
of course not.
I would like to say something to that too, is that like, people think shadow work means that you always have to be in a dark place or almost force a dark place. You don't have to force a dark place. You know, if there's unhealed things like a trauma that you need to go through because you feel intuitively you feel like you need to go through it, then go through it. You don't have to. What you need to do is learn from an experience. You don't have to live in it. You don't have to stay there. And if you feel like that experience is triggering what you're doing today in your current relationships, then you want to deal with it. If it's affecting your life in a certain way, then you want to deal with it. You don't need to bring up all this different trauma from all these years and process each one. That's victim mentality. You don't need to go over things over. No, you know, you're here moving forward. So if it's something in your immediate now that's causing you a problem to get to where you want to be, then you want to process it. If it doesn't, let it stay there. Forgive yourself. Why are you beating yourself over something in the past when you can't change it? The biggest respect you give to yourself and others is to change your behavior. To change your behavior. And you should want to change your behavior because you're worried, you're beating yourself up over it from the past. So change your behavior, right? And everything, that's alignment doing that, right? You don't need to kill yourself over like what happened 15 years ago and you said this and you did this. You know, sometimes that stuff comes in my head too, and I kick it right out. Like, there's enough things going on in the world that I have to worry about what I did 15 years ago, but I'm a changed person now. You don't own your past.
I can't even remember.
You're not you know, what you did in the past. Just say, you know, the biggest thing you can do for your past is to change your behavior. That's it. You know, for me, anybody who hurt me, the biggest thing I would say is, you know, that they did feel bad for how they treated me. I don't want them beating themselves up. I want you to change your behavior. Right?
Of course.
And acknowledge what you did was wrong. That's it. Change your behavior. We're good. No, it doesn't mean you're back in my circle again, but as far as I'm good karmically, we're good. Right? Can I say one more thing? Yes. And don't be so hard on yourself. When it's a lot of information that we gave people today, don't be so hard because it can feel overwhelming. There's so much information, so much work we're doing. It feels overwhelming. What you can do is take one step forward. One step. Take one step forward. Just don't go backwards. Go forward at your comfort. Push yourself. The way I push myself is different than a way another person would push themselves. It's okay. You don't need to be here to 20, but you need to start putting a foot forward. Okay.